Good morning, everybody. It is May 1st. Let me change my calendar. I just realized I have not changed it. I'm sorry. So give me a second while I do this. It's been an interesting evening, day so far. Yes, I'm just starting my day. So last night I must have had some difficulty sleeping because I woke up achy, sore, and just did not feel like I rested. But that's not important. That's probably just stuff on my brain and environmental temperature. In other words, if I'm not at a comfortable temperature level, I have a hard time sleeping. And I still get amazed at my house because my bedroom is a south-facing room, which means it gets sunlight pretty much all day. And I woke up this morning and the room was like a furnace while the rest of the house was 68, 66 degrees inside. And I was like, man, I gotta find a way to somehow get my room cooler. Excuse me. That in a factor when you have two bodies in a room that generate enough heat to heat up the room, things will happen. But anyhow, today is going to be another wonderful day. We are slowly but surely getting stuff done around the house. Yesterday I spent most of my day doing laundry and organizing and just straightening up stuff in the bedroom. So the bedroom is about 80 to 90% done. We just have to go through the dressers, clean up the tops of the dressers, clean up the closet a little bit. I'm hoping to go through some clothes and decide which clothes are basically no longer desired. Not that they're not usable, it's just I don't want them no more. I have this thing where if I have not worn a particular clothing item for more than a year, or I have clothing items that I wear more than other clothing items, I tend to want to downsize my clothing, my t-shirts, and basically the only thing when I go and purge clothes, I do not give away three particular things, because most of the time the handkerchiefs are basically old and ratty and need to go bye-byes anyhow. But I don't give away undergarments. I don't give away socks. Two reasons why. Most of the time, the reason why I don't give away socks is because they're getting holey, and then it's just time to pitch them. Underwear, who wants to wear somebody else's underwear? Whether they've been cleaned multiple times or whatnot, don't have racing tracks or holes. I sure don't. Yes, I'm drinking Mountain Dew this morning because the last couple of days I have been lacking caffeine, except for my cup of coffee, and that's just not enough of a energy boost. This morning I'm kind of cheating. But anyhow, let's get on to the good stuff. This is going to be part 2 of How to Live Hygge. Now I just need to find where I left off. Here it is. Okay. Good thing about these magnetic bookmarks is the fact that they'll stay on your page and whatnot. The bad thing is you don't know which page it's supposed to be on because it's sitting on top of the page, magnetic, stuck together. Anyhow, this one is called The Seasons: Listless Insomnia and Long Hibernation. Now, I did not really mark a lot in here because most of it talks about one of the key loves of nature is the weather, and basically being prepared for it if you're going to go outdoors to do anything. That in effect, not everybody lives in an area of the world that is more towards the northern part of the hemisphere and close to the Arctic Circle. That in fact, or Norway, I've seen plenty of beautiful pictures. I've never been there. I want to go there. I've seen plenty of pictures. I look online all the time at the different landscapes of Norway. And they are a very rugged, mountainistic type terrain. They do have their valleys and whatnot, but mountains can be as close to the ocean and seacoast or as far inland as the central part of their country. But they have what I call Arctic seasons. And basically what it is they have long, cold, dark winters and short, beautiful explosion of nature in all its bounty and all its beauty. So they might have maybe 4 months worth, maybe if they're lucky, 4 months worth of summer type winter, or summer type weather, but then they have long, almost 6 months worth of winter, while the other 4 months, 2 to 4 months, is either almost semi-spring like or semi-fall like. But she talks about midsummer sunrises, you know, the just the beauty of Norway. And usually during that summertime, especially the height of summer, they could have 16 hours worth of sunlight. It's almost like I would describe Alaska, where they have, you know, long winters where it seems to be nothing but bleak darkness and misery, while they have these quick winters where it's sunlight all day long. I've never really studied the weather of Norway, because why would I study the weather of Norway now when I don't even know if I'll ever get the chance? But every so often I like looking at their temperatures, and their temperatures are almost as, during the summertime, they're about the same temperature as we have here in the Midwest, while during their winter times they might get as cold as the Alaskan winters. It's a really interesting contrast between temperatures. And what I have studied is their temperatures have changed due to global warming and whatnot. But one of the key notes that I wrote myself, because it's not just a Norwegian or Nordic mindset, but it should be a mindset of the general of people all around the world, is basically live life no matter what the season is. So basically what I was trying to tell myself was, no matter what the season is, be prepared to, if you really, really want to go out and enjoy nature and all its wonders, even in the middle of wintertime, just be prepared. Dress appropriately. That kind of thing. But I did underline this little thing here. It says, the Viking and Norse mythology taught us that life could be harsh and you cannot really predict anything with certainty. So we evolved into a people who lived for the moment, and that meant making the most of each season. We therefore value fresh air over the gym and seek out food with flavor over calorie counting. Yes, we eat cream and butter, and we love chocolate and cakes, but we only eat these foods occasionally and balance out any sweet treats with increased activity, mostly outdoors. So basically, over the course of the Norwegian or Nordic evolution of the people, they enjoyed life. I mean, yes, life is harsh, even when we're talking about Mother Nature, because without going out and just enjoying life no matter what nature throws at us. We can sit down and have all the foods that we want, but in moderation, first off. Second off, if you're going to sit down and have a big, fatty, sugar-filled, calorie-filled meal, you should get out and go for a walk. Go do something active outside that will burn off the calories and all the so-called bad parts of your meal. I've read enough about Nordic foods or North-style foods. My book, that one book I have that's basically got a bunch of Nordic recipes. There's a couple recipes in here that I just like, they sound interesting, they sound good, but the problem is a lot of the foods that they're talking about, a lot of the ingredients they're talking about in their recipes, we have a hard time getting here in America or here in the Midwest especially. I'm pretty sure I can go to any I can probably go into St. Louis. There's a place in St. Louis that has cultural foods from around the world basically, and I can pick up a lot of the spices and whatnot. But there are certain ingredients in there that I don't know where I'd find them here in America unless I knew somebody who went hunting, and I can possibly buy a pound or so worth of venison steaks. Lamb is not something we have readily around here. Goose is not something we have readily around here. Haddock or halibut is something we don't readily have around here fresh. I don't even think I can find it frozen here in my small town. I'd have to travel to a bigger city that has various types of fish like that. Aniseed or something like that. Can't remember how to pronounce it, but I know what it looks like. Might be able to find it at that Whole Foods market there in St. Louis. It has the international foods. There's a lot of things I've read so far in this book that I'm not covering right now that make me go, okay, those are not the foods in the other book, because the other book is more on healthy, balanced meals. This one is just, these are recipes of the Nordic people. And it's not a lot. There's maybe anywhere from a dozen to 20, 12 to 20 different recipes. And the first ones are sweets, the cakes and whatnot. And I'm like, and I was talking to Jerry about it, and she goes, well, how can we adapt them so they're keto friendly? And I'm like, I don't know. Now I can understand why she wants to know how to do it keto friendly, but I think the bigger problem isn't the keto friendly. And I know this from her own family. It's not sticking to the diet. It's not just about sticking to the diet. It's the factor that keto friendly diets, if you're not mindful of what you're doing, you can throw your body out of whack. And that's one of the reasons why I was kind of like, oh, I've heard a lot of bad things about keto, but obviously it's a new health crave in America. That's one of the reasons why I know we won't be able to live in Europe, because 90% of European foods are very decadent, very rich, very thick and hearty, creamy. They don't worry about watching calories. They don't worry about watching sugar intake, because they are, even in Germany, they are a very active culture that spend a lot of time walking, going on what they call Volksmarches, which is basically long walks. There are some places, well, when I was in Germany. Let's just go back to when I was in Germany. When I was in school in Germany, and we American children did not go to a German school. We went to a American style school on the military facilities. It wasn't a military school. It was like it was like school here in America. You went, you got your books, you sat down in classroom, your class, you did your classes, you went and had PT, you had your lunch break. It was basically like an American school. The only difference is because the educational system in a military facility, or at least the Americanized educational system in Germany for the American kids was actually 2 years ahead of schools here in the U.S. So when I got to Germany, I was held back 2 years. When I came back to America, I was pushed back 2 years, even though I should have probably stayed at my grade level, if not gone 2 years in advance. So that right there kind of screwed up some of my educational issues. But when we were there, we had these springtime events where we went on Volksmarches. And these Volksmarches were roughly about 1K, maybe a little bit more. But because of those Volksmarches, the end destination that we walked to, and then got onto a bus and came back to, or spent some time in the area, and then got on a bus and was driven back to our school, I got to see Burgeltz. I got to see various different parts of the German countryside. I wish I had some of those Volksmarch medals. I really, really wish I still had those. They gave us these little medals, and depending on the Volksmarch or the destination or whatever, it had, well, one of them I remember looked like a footprint with like a ruler, a school book, and some other thing etched or imprinted into the foot. And then another one it looked like a horseshoe, and I can't remember if there was other components in the horseshoe or attached to the horseshoe. Those two I remember because I was very proud of getting them. I was like, I earned this. I went and walked up a hill or down a hill or whatever. That basically, I mean, it's bad enough when I was younger that I was a thin, scrawny looking little thing anyhow. But it's one of those things as a kid, you're just kind of like, I did it. I earned it. Unlike most kids nowadays, they just get handed awards for weird reasons. Anyhow, I'm not going to go into that. But that's one of the things about Europeans is they eat, I mean, look at some of the basic foods that come out of Italy. And I'm not talking about pizza because, yeah, Italy does make pizza and whatnot. But I mean, even though some of the dishes that I know about that come out of Italy have been somewhat Americanized, Italian food, German food, they're rich, hearty, decadent foods. And I mean, you think about the idea of some of the stories about French proportions here in America are itty bitty. No. You go to Europe and you ask for a plate of food, that thing is crammed with food. I mean, let's say you go to, I'm trying to think of some of the things I've heard. You go to Italy. Okay. Italy, when you go there, and these are stories, I don't know this for a fact because I've only heard stories and whatnot from people who've gone to Italy. When you go to a restaurant in Italy, they bring you out for you can either order it for a big party and it comes out in different plates and each person gets their own plate and they pick from the main plate. But as an individual, you go there and you get this, let's say you, fettuccine alfredo is more of an American dish. You go there and get carbonara. Carbonara will come to you in a big plate, but let's say you ask for carbonara with any kind of appetizer. I'm trying to think of appetizers that they have there. Well, a salad. And it's a big bowl. It's not an itty bitty dinner plate. It's a big bowl. It's a pretty good sized bowl. They literally feed people like they're feeding a whole family, not just 2 or 3 people, but enough for a whole family. And the thing is most people in Europe will eat basically everything that's in front of them. Have wine, have a beer, whatever. And guess what? They're not walking out to their car to go home, because most of the times you'll have literally like, here's a couple of villas, there's a restaurant, here's a couple of villas, restaurant, a couple. You're walking distance from your house most of the time. So what most Europeans do, they walk home. I remember in Germany where I literally saw, I didn't see her walk there, but I watched her walk home. We have in the town that we lived in Germany, Altlet, we had in the middle of town what they call a guest house. But that guest house wasn't just like a hotel. It was, here's the diner or kitchen area, the eat-in area. There's the guest house. So there was basically a restaurant in the middle of our town. A localized restaurant run by a family that probably lived in Altlet. Just like the little convenience store was probably run by a member of the town and their family. But I remember this little old lady, she had to be in her 70s or 80s, walking home from the restaurant. Now, the way Altlet was set up is kind of like on the downhill, going down towards the Mosel River. Obviously, if this little old lady walked up the hill to get home, she's walking down the hill. And it was amazing to me that, healthy looking elderly woman walking home after going to the guest house, whether she was going up there because she was eating there, or maybe it was her family that ran the guest house and she was up there visiting, and then she was walking home at the end of her visit or whatever. Now, Altlet, I would consider Altlet the equivalency to a small town like, well, smaller than Rolla. Back then, back in the 80s. Who knows how big it is now. But it had to be a small, quaint little German village in the middle, in between some bigger ones. Now, seeing the pictures of Norway and whatnot, to think that some people who enjoy a good walk after a good meal. Now, for the most part, a lot of the cities and towns that I've seen pictures of are pretty level. So yeah, you might have a couple of houses that are up on the hill a little bit, and you have to walk up the road to get to it. But the idea of taking a walk after a big meal is a new concept for most Americans, but for Europeans, it's a given. Oh, we just ate this big, gigantic, decadent, butter-filled, cream-filled meal, and at the end of the meal, we had these heavily sweet, heavily creamed, or heavily sugared cakes and whatnot. Let's go for a walk. Let's go walk this off before it becomes, as we Americans will say, dead weight. I have seen some Europeans in Germany when I was there that some people might consider overweight. But 9 times out of 10, most Europeans that I've seen weren't quote unquote overweight. They were just naturally big boned, and that was their natural body shape that made them look like they might have been overweight. But I have never seen a European that was morbidly obese. Now, that could be anything from genetics to just laziness to whatever. But I think if we get out, if we monitor, if we watch our weather and equip ourselves appropriately, whether it's through clothing or if we're going for a backpack or a hike or something like that, and we fill a backpack with whether it's trail food or whatnot, maybe carry in the backpack a raincoat, or if the weather's gonna get like cold and nasty, heavier clothing in your backpack along with your meal. In other words, basically, I don't expect you to change your clothes in the middle of nowhere, but have either a heavier coat, a heavier sweater, maybe an extra layer of like, let's say you go out hiking and you're wearing what most people in America would consider hiking clothing, the special clothing and whatnot. Carry yourself an extra pair of sweatpants or something like that you can slip over your clothing. Basically, be prepared to put on a secondary layer of clothing. I know a lot of people are like, but I don't want to carry all that stuff in a backpack while I'm going hiking. Well, that's your choice, but you can't blame the elements, or you can't blame nature for basically interrupting your nice cool or your nice warm hike when the wind changes. And especially if you're living in the mountain states, I've learned one thing about the mountain states here in America. I was up in Montana during the time I was in Yellowstone, and I learned one thing about Montana, and I think it's pretty much most states that have a lot of high mountains like the Rockies, is if the wind is blowing from the north, you have a chance of a cold day with the possibility of snow. And this is even in the middle of July. If the wind is blowing from the south, it could be a warm day with chances of rain, depending on the clouds. So it's not like you can just sit there and go, oh, the air feels nice and warm, it's going to be a great day. Let me go on a hike with a pair of shorts and my boots and a t-shirt and maybe a bag of, with some snacks or food or trail mix or whatnot. Or just in whatever clothing I decide to wear out. Well, one of the things nature has taught me is it might feel warm now, but in 5 minutes the weather can change depending on where the wind is coming from, where it's blowing, what time of year it is. But a lot of us take for granted Mother Nature is not going to just instantly change her mind of what kind of weather it's going to be. That's not true anymore. The way the weather's been lately is just unpredictable. Now, I'm not saying, because it's so unpredictable, don't go out and enjoy the great outdoors. No. What I'm saying is, if you're going to go out and enjoy the great outdoors, which I hope a lot of people will do, and I'm hoping I can get more chances to do myself, be prepared for, everything. Now, I'm not saying carrying around a heavy coat all the time, but I'm saying, give yourself enough grace to say that I'm going to be able to do my hike before the weather changes, but also understand that if Mother Nature decides to be cranky and start kicking up a wind of one form or another, whether it's a cold wind or anything like that, just be prepared for it, because we don't know what's going to happen until it happens. Yes, we can listen to our weather reports and whatnot and go, oh yeah, according to the weatherman, it's supposed to be a nice sunny, like today. It's supposed to be a nice sunny day, high of 79 degrees. Tonight it's supposed to lower. It's supposed to get partly to mostly cloudy and lower the temperature to almost 50. In the next 3 days, there are chances of rain and thunderstorms. I could wake up tomorrow morning expecting thunderstorms and gloomy, nasty weather, and overnight things have changed. That's why I don't always worry about what predictions the weatherman's making for tomorrow. I wake up each day going, okay, let's check the weather report and see what it's going to do for the day. I only worry about one day at a time now. I don't worry about tomorrow's. The last part of this little sector, I have underlined. Yeah, I think I just kind of said this, but I'm going to go ahead and reread it, or say what she has to say. She has here, whether it's light or dark outside, we know how to make the most of each season. Here's some practical advice on how you can too. I'm gonna stop there. My wife would say, how do you keep an idiot in suspense? Tell them to wait until tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to get into how to Hygge in nature. And I'm going to read it tonight because we're now up to the same point where I stopped before talking to you guys. But in this section, I'm just going to peruse it real quick. It looks like she talks about different kinds of foods. And then after that, there's a section here called, well, I'm not going to worry about telling you what this section is because we'll either end up talking about it in a day or so. But the thing about Hygge that I've learned so far, and I know I'm pronouncing it, I even spelt it the wrong way when I spelt it. It's Hygge. So maybe that one person who was trying to tell me how to pronounce it was right. I'll have to go back and look at that comment. But I'm pronouncing it the way it looks. And I know the Norwegian people, their written English is... foreign languages are a fun thing for me because I like learning them, but sometimes I have issues with them. But the thing that I'm learning through this book is the fact that it's not just about being happy within our own selves and whatnot, but it's being happy in our environments. It's being happy with... The natural world has a way of making people happy. Now, and everybody's different. Some people might be happy living in a desert environment. I was not. Some people are happy living along the coast and close to the ocean. Not for me. And then there are people who like living in, like here in the plain states of America. Yeah. But I know that the places that I've been that made me the happiest were like in the woods, in the mountains, surrounded by nature, not crammed together in a even here in Raleigh, I feel a little crammed together because I don't see enough. I'm the type of person. I guess if you classify me in a certain way, well, some people classify me as a tree hugger. Well, that's fine and dandy. I love my wooded areas, but I remember back in high school, and I think the person kind of phrased it just right. Basically, because what I would used to wear in high school was I loved wearing my moccasin boots. I loved wearing blue jeans tucked into my moccasin boots. And I loved wearing, I wouldn't call it plaid itself, but it was natural colors. It was like natural tones. And I was asked once by a couple people, a small group of people. It was somebody that I used to go to home ec with. Yes, I took home ec. And I came in one day. It was supposed to be one of our hotter days right before summer break. It was an extremely hot summer that year, or extremely hot year period. And they asked me, this one girl asked me, I don't know what group you're part of. And I was like, well, what do you mean, what group? And she goes, well, you're wearing clothes, some of your clothes would say you were a skater, some of your clothes say you're a dope head, and I'm like, I don't fit into any group. I don't classify myself in a group because, in fact, I think titles like that are just lame, as I put it. And she goes, well, I don't know what kind of person you are. And I just kind of went, I'm a free-spirited person who loves the mountains and who loves nature. And she didn't really give me an answer or say anything to me, but I remember, in fact, I have it in one of my yearbooks. And she wrote in there, have a good summer, Mountain Man. She literally called me Mountain Man, and I was just kind of like, okay, well, if you take the old world terminology for a mountain man, it's somebody who literally lives in the mountains. And granted, Arizona didn't have very many mountains. Well, it had mountains, but they weren't what I would consider mountains unless you went to Flagstaff. Because most of the mountains in Phoenix area, like Camelback Mountain and places like that, it's all desert. There's no conifers, there's no real trees on there. It's all cacti and rattlesnakes and lizards, black widows and scorpions, and nah, that's not my life. But if I could move to a mountainous area like, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Washington State, Oregon, maybe if I were to move to the East Coast instead of the West Coast, it'd be like the Poconos or places like that. Smoky Mountains of Kentucky, Tennessee area. Or just anywhere within the Appalachians. I would. I kind of could right now if I had the opportunity or find some place that Jerry Ann and I and maybe Mom would feel comfortable in, but I'm not looking to move. Jerry Ann likes his house way too much, and there are some conveniences to it. So I have to make do with what I have, and that's the whole purpose of trying to read this book, How to Hygge, because we can't always pack up, uproot, and move to someplace new just because we don't feel comfortable in our current environment or whatnot. Some people might even say that I want to do it just because I want to run away from problems. No. I want to do it because, in fact, I don't feel comfortable where I'm at. I want to do it because there is something inside me that keeps me awake sometimes at night that keep on telling me to move to the mountains. And to be precise, it literally, whatever voice it is, whatever ancient whisper or whatever you want to call it, I don't think it's anything evil or demonic or anything like that, but a nagging, nudging, you need to be in Colorado type feeling. Now, the funny thing about that is, I'm going to give you a little bit of a story. The funny thing about that is, back in the 80s, after my father passed away, so it'd be late 80s, when I started reading Mary Summer Rain and finding out that she lives in Colorado. And I almost had her, I almost had her location to a 20-mile radius when I was studying all the information she was giving and talking about and whatnot. And the fact that she was talking about she lives outside of an area. I'm not going to say what area because it's not my place. But I know from her newer books, and she's not giving enough information out to pinpoint, she moved away from her old home. Not that I am looking to run away and meet her now, but back then, reading her books and whatnot, something in me was telling me to go there. Of course, back then, part of it, or most of it, I should say, was to go and meet her, specifically to go and meet her face to face. I never pursued that because part of me was like, no. I just want to go up to Colorado to meet her, meet Mary Summer Rain, meet her husband, meet the family, get I don't know, maybe some life lessons or something like that. Not gonna cry. But then, after the years went by and moved from Arizona to Missouri, the nagging feeling kind of dissipated. But within the last year, I'd say, a little under a year, maybe 10 to 11 months, I've been having that nagging feeling to move to Colorado. And I'm like, why is this resurfacing? I haven't read anything on... I read some of her newer books, but when I look back at it, I'm like, maybe the nagging feeling wasn't just because of Mary Summer Rain. Maybe there's something else. I've been to Colorado at least once that I can remember. Maybe twice, I'm not sure. We went to, strangely enough, we went to an area known as Paradise Valley, Colorado. And it's not just a town, it's a valley that they call Paradise Valley. And it was funny because I was like, that's the same name as my high school. Now, we went there in late winter, early spring. So it was still quite nippy, quite chilly. And because I lived in a desert for so long, I was like, no, I don't think I can deal with this cold. But after living in New York for almost 11 years, I'm kind of like, I can... 11? Where did I get that? I lived in Arizona for 11 years. I lived in New York for almost 13. Where did I get it? Anyhow. But now that I've spent a number of years in New York, I'm like, I could probably handle... If I can handle Missouri cold, Colorado cold is just a few more degrees difference, and it has more snow. So the only thing about Colorado that I would be so about, it would be the snow. Of course, when you live in a place that has a lot of snow, you get yourself like a snowblower. Especially at my age, where a snow shovel would be too much on my back, I'd get a snowblower and snowshoes. Maybe skis. But anyhow, and this was southern Colorado. This was maybe a 3 to 4, maybe 5 hour drive from Colorado Springs, where, I don't know if it was Colorado Springs or if it was closer to Denver, which would have been a longer drive. My cousin Mark he worked at a resort. So during the wintertime, he was like, I don't know if he was a ski lift mechanic or what he was doing, but he was living and working in Colorado. Of course, I've heard a lot of bad things about the whole state of Colorado lately because of the legalization of marijuana, which I'm not even going to worry about because I'm not a druggie. But anyhow, maybe it's my desire to get back to nature that's nagging me to go back to Colorado or move to Colorado, because I'm a nature person, and Colorado has a boatload, or as some people would say, buttload of forested areas and things like that. But I don't have everybody on board. That factor of the expense would gobble up my reserves and whatnot. Of course, I might be able to find a really nice job working with the forestry department or something like that up there. Ooh, I should look into that now that I'm thinking about it. But anyhow, tomorrow we'll get into the bringing nature inside. I think that's what I just said. This is why my brain should never ever, had a Hygge in nature. We'll do that tomorrow and continue on with the book. For those of you who might be interested in the book itself, so you can pick it up. I actually got it for I'd have to go back in my Amazon information to tell you how much I actually spent to buy this book. But you can get this book on Amazon if you have an Amazon account. It was on Amazon Prime. It was a Prime item. Yes, I'm going to plug Amazon real quick. Maybe they'll have me endorse more products. But Amazon Prime, as a Prime member, I get certain benefits of having a membership with Amazon Prime. One, if you purchase stuff through Amazon Prime, or you purchase items and it's a Prime item and you have the membership, I think I was given, I think with my Amazon Prime, most of the items I get are basically shipped to me for free. Is it for free, or is it less taxes? But anyhow, there's benefits. There's either free shipping or no taxes. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to literally go back and look at my Amazon Prime information. But a lot of the items I have been getting from Amazon for a very long time, including books, jewelry, dice sets for gaming, things like that, have been through Amazon Prime, and I get a discount of one form or another. So if you choose to do Amazon, I might be able to, I think I have a referral code. I have to go look it up, and if I do, I'll put it into the description box. But anyhow, before this gets even longer, it's already at 48 minutes. Let me do my spiel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment box. If you're new to my channel and you want to hear more about Hygge, since I'm currently doing a series using how to Hygge, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, through this book, go ahead and click on the subscribe button, and once you click on that subscribe button, there will be a bell that will pop up. Click on that bell, and YouTube will let you know when I put in my next video. So until next time, have a good day. God bless. Bye.